Hi guys, this is Sai Kumar Kurtiwada. In this video, we will learn about Next.js metadata. So what is this metadata? What are the things which we can pass into this metadata and how it exactly helps us in our search engine optimization? Let's see that. Let me go into the another slide. Here, I'll discuss about static metadata and dynamic metadata generating in Next.js. By default, this metadata can be applied at a page level or at a layout level. You can do anywhere, but it always picks the latest one or the nearest one. For example, if you are keeping some metadata in page.js, then the preference will go to page.js. Then it will go to layout.js. First priority will be going to the nearest metadata. So let me quickly jump into Visual Studio Code and see how we can execute this. For example, in this case, we have some set of layouts and also we have some set of metadatas. If you see, the first metadata we have is at app layout. So you can see the layout.js and you can see the metadata over here. And that is how you can see the metadata and where we can see this metadata. So you can see the Next.js over here. That is the title, whatever the title we are providing. And let me go into inspect and let me show you something in the elements. So if you go into the head, you have something called as meta tag, and inside this meta tag there is a description and the content is generated by Next.js. This is a default layout created by Next.js and this is the default values which are given by metadata of Next.js. Now what I want to do is I want to give something called as title as Techshareskk, and I want to give something called as Techshareskk tutorials and save this. Now you can see, let me refresh. You can see the Techshareskk on the top, and if you see the metadata over here inside the head, go to head and there is a meta description, and in this description you are able to see Techshare tutorials. And now inside the dashboard, let's add one more metadata. Again, it's also a static metadata. So what I'll do is I'll go into dashboard page.js, and inside this I'll give export const metadata. Simple to say, whenever you export a constant with metadata, that is a reserved word or a reserved object which is for our Next.js. So always use metadata only for displaying some set of metadata content, not for the personal or custom objects. So let's create a title on this, and the title is something like dashboard, and save this. Now go here, you can see the dashboard over here, but if you see a metadata description, the description is same as it is from the layout metadata. So whenever there is a same property on the page.js and on the respective layout.js, then the page.js will replace the layout.js content. And this description is not present in the page.js. That's why it is not replaced anything and it is using the same one. So it is merging. The page.js will be having the highest priority than layout.js, and both will be merged together. Whenever it finds the same key, it will try to replace the highest priority one with the lowest priority one. So here the highest priority is with page.js. Hence page.js title value is replaced with title of Techshareskk. So this is how you can replace your content. And for this title, I want to give you some other options. This title can be created as a direct value, or you can create it as an object. So for example, let me go with an object. Inside the object, we have something called as absolute, and there is something called as template. Let me save this. Now, how this template works and how this absolute works. For example, I want to give a template. Template in the sense you will be giving some set of data and suffix or prefix you can add. For example, I am giving percentile s, which is a placeholder. Whatever I am sending from the child component, that will be used inside this template. So here inside the template, I am using something like Techshareskk as suffix and save this. Now, whatever the title you are passing over here, that is dashboard Techshareskk, will be appending to it. So let me go here and now let me refresh this. You can see dashboard Techshareskk, and you have something called as absolute. So absolute, I'm giving something like Techshareskk and save this. Now it will not have any effect on this. Now the case is we have some other properties as well. So you can use metadata interface. If you are using a TypeScript, you will be getting that in the IntelliSense as well. So we have one other property. Absolute is something where you want to override the template. For example, I have this template at the layout level and I am trying to send some data and it is replacing in the template. So what we will do is I'll just go into my about page.js and here I will add one more export const and I want to add metadata and then I want to give an object where my title as something like about. Now also what will happen is when I go into about you will be seeing about Techshareskk. But in this case, in the about page, I don't want to show a prefix or suffix. Now what I'll do is I'll make this as an object and I'll make it as absolute, and the absolute value is about. That means don't use the template. Instead, you can use absolute itself. Let me go here and you can see you are able to see only about and no suffix. That means it is overriding the template of the layout and it is taking only the absolute value whatever we are giving here. And for example, if I'm going into products, products does not have any of the data. And if you click on the products, you are able to see Techshareskk, where it is coming from. Actually speaking, it is coming from your absolute value. Even you can give the default value for it. So let me go with default value, and the default value is Techshareskk. And I'll just remove this absolute because absolute is mainly used for the child routes. So here I gave Techshareskk as a default value, and you can see the default value when the user goes to the products. When I go to about, you are seeing the exact value, and when I click on dashboard, you are seeing dashboard that is suffixed with Techshareskk. It is utilizing the template. And let me go into our products as well. So let me go into product page.js. You have products page, and we have some other pages inside this that is nothing but a product details page. If you go into the product details page, let me remove this, and here let me export const metadata is equal to I want to execute the title, and let me give the title as products and save this. Now you can see when I click on products, you are able to see Techshareskk, and if I go into product one, you will be seeing products with Techshareskk. But I don't want to show products Techshareskk. I want to show something like product one Techshareskk. So how we can do that? That means we want to get a dynamic value. So whenever you want to have a dynamic value, then in that case you can use generate metadata method which will return an object, and that object should be having a title and you can frame the title whatever you want. For example, let me comment this. Here I don't want to use a static metadata. I want to use dynamic metadata. So in that case, we have to export a constant function called as generate metadata, something like this. And what we can do is we can return an object inside this. And the title is, let me go with the title, and the title is products one as a hard coded value. Save this, and you can see product one, and if I go into product two, you are seeing the same metadata. Now I want to change it. How I can do that? By using a parameter value. So we will be getting the params, and from this params I can use the id. So let me use something like params dot, and let me make it as string template or template string. Now what I'll do is I'll use something called as product details like this as my params and save this. Now you can see product 2. When I go into product 1, you can see product 1, product 3, you can see product 3, product 4, you can see product 4. Like this, you can use this generate metadata to generate your dynamic content based on the params or based on some other API calls. All this you can do it. But remember one thing, the metadata object and the generate metadata should not be in the same file. So let's do that and save this. Now you can see there is an error. So export const generate metadata, it is throwing an error. If you see the error, metadata and generate metadata can't be exported at the same time. This is given by Next.js. So either of the one you have to use. So I'm using generate metadata and save this. and you can see the error gone, and it is working as expected on the dynamic content, and it is getting updated in your browser. You can see here it is getting updated, and even here inside our head, go to head, and you can see there is a title tag which is updating our values. So this is mainly used for search engine optimization. And in the same way, you can also use async type of data, and you can await for some data. For example, let me use something like a promise, because as of now I don't have an API. So until that API is resolved, or just for a small purpose, what I'll do is I'll use something called as fetch API. So already we know about the fetch API. What I'll do, I'll just go into JSON placeholder API, and I'll be getting a static or a dummy API just to await this. And we know what is a parameter for us. So what I'll do is I'll use const data is equal to, I will be awaiting this fetch call, fetch of, I will pass the URL, and for this URL, what I'll do, I'll pass my parameter. Based on the parameter, it will be getting the to-dos list. So I'll use dollar, and let me pass this parameter, copy and paste here. So now this will be giving you a JSON, and again it is also a type of response which is in a promise based. So that's why I'll use response is equal to await, and I want to await data dot JSON. So this is also a promise. So now I'm awaiting this one as well, and I'm getting the response. So whatever the response I'm getting, let me print first console.log of response, and response will be the product ID whatever we are sending. If you see here, if you call this particular one data, then you will be getting user ID, title. So what I'll do is I'll update this title whatever we are getting, the product followed by hyphen, and I want to get a response, and that response whatever we are getting, that should be response dot title, whatever the response we are getting from the backend. So let me go here, and you can see the product, it is updated with this because the three value. So product hyphen, this is the whole value whatever you are getting from this particular ID. So if you pass this 3 ID over here, you can see you got this title, and the same title you are able to see on the top. So that is how you can use. And let me click on one. So now one will be updated, and that will be getting the data from the backend, and that will be updated over here. So let me click on two. So you can get the two, three, you can get the third one, four, and you are getting the fourth title, five, fifth title, something like this. You can get all the titles from your API, and you can update your title on the top of the browser for better search engine optimization. So this is how you can use your application's data and get the dynamic content onto the metadata. So that is how you can use metadata in our application. And this is a very important whenever you are building an e-commerce site, or whenever your application requires more search engine optimizations, then this metadata helps you a lot. That's it for this video. Hope you like my explanation. If you like my video, like, share, subscribe to my channel for more updates. Signing off. Thank you.